My name is Kyoteru Tsutsui, and I'm the director of the Japan program here at the Asia Pacific Research Center. Much has been said about the importance of AI, and I don't have to tell you, it is now infiltrating our lives, our economy, politics, and even security. And many companies and countries are vying for supremacy in the AI development landscape. Just last week, as many of you have noticed, Prime Minister Kishida visited the White House to meet with President Biden to issue a joint statement that included a number of references to AI, talking about Microsoft's $2.9 billion investment in Japan on AI, cloud infrastructure, workforce training, and so on. Collaborations between universities and research institutions between the two countries, and a commitment to further advance the Hiroshima AI process set up at the Hiroshima Summit, G7 Summit last year, and to strengthen collaboration between the National AI Safety Institutes. What do those policy pronouncements mean? Where is Japan headed in its AI development? And could Japan regain its technological and economic edge with AI as a catalyst? To answer these questions, we have the leading policymakers, two of them, in the areas of AI and digital technology from Japan for this session. And we have an ideal moderator for the session, Dr. Tricia Wang, who will introduce the two speakers, and then we'll have a discussion. Tricia is a social scientist with a PhD in sociology. I'm partial to the discipline of sociology, being a sociologist myself. And she uses ethnography and data science to offer a unique perspective on technology and human experience. She knows about technological innovations, she cares about social impact of those innovations, and she works to ensure that technological development serves humanity in an equitable and sustainable manner. She has co-founded an organization called Southern Compass to advise industry giants. She's getting involved in launching tech labs, and she's been giving lectures in various prestigious forums. And without any further ado, we are privileged to have her here as a moderator. So please take it away, Tricia.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be back. I was actually here a couple of weeks ago moderating another event, and I was told that the leading AI policymakers from Japan would be coming here in a few weeks. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to be in New York, so I will come back early enough to meet you two. And then when Kyo sent me the email, he asked me to moderate this. I was like, this is such a privilege and honor to meet you two in person. I think today's conversation is super important because it's very focused. It's not just like AI, right? AI is a big topic, but we're talking about a subset of AI, which is generative AI. And generative AI is what many of you already know, is that it can learn from an existing data set, and then it can generate new kinds of outputs that mimic human outputs like creativity. So you have like text generative AI, text generators, you have sound, you have image, you have video soon. And there's different types of AI, but I want to make sure that we're very focused on today's conversation, that we're not talking about narrow AI applications like Siri or Alexa. We're talking about a subset, which is called limited memory AI, that generative AI is a part of. And we're not also talking about reactive AI, like recommendation AI, so very specific. And when we talk about digital transformation has been happening for the last, I would say like 10, 20 years. Yeah. And so this is like, it's not just like AI out of nowhere. It's that there's been a long transformation in becoming digital, really creating the physical world as a data set, right? That we can then analyze. And companies have been trying to digitally transform, countries have been also, and AI is just the next step in that. And so I'm very excited that we can have you two here because before I introduce the speakers, one framework that I want to offer is that as you listen to their talks today, they're not just policymakers. They're people who have deep experience in the practice of the technology, and that's very rare. And I have to say, it's very rare to meet policymakers who have that. And so, when policy is set well, it should be influenced by the values that influence policy, and then policy influences practice. But it should also go the other way around, and that values that influence practice, the practice influences the policy. So it's like a circle. And I think that your careers have really spoken to this values, policy, and practice. You both have a lot of history. I'm going to start off with a brief intro of Kenji. You have a long career. And, you know, I was reading your bio and I was like, wow, in the early 90s, you started out as an engineer. You worked actually in policy, then you moved into policy at the Ministry of Economy, Technology, and Industry. And then in the 2000s, you actually came here, you were project manager here of Stanford Japan Center. So you also ran a consulting firm. So you've been in this for many decades. And then you were also in charge of digital strategy for Japan, the country. And then in the 2020s, you started to actually set the national data strategy and interoperability framework, which is humongous. And now recently, you're the new Secretary General of AC, which is the organization we're going to be hearing a lot about today, which is AI Safety Institute. We'll say AC for short. And then I'm also going to just introduce Akiko actually right now, and so we can do the introductions first. Akiko started out in the 2000s actually as a hardcore researcher at IBM in natural language processing, like for 15 plus years, right? And then you worked as an IBM as an architect on Watson at IBM. And you're also a big leader in Brazilian engineering. You started your own organization. It's called IT Disaster Assistance and Response Team. And then most recently, in 2021, you joined as the Chief Data Officer and Executive Officer at an insurance company called Sompo. And then you've also recently joined Kenji as Executive Director of AC, the AI Institute for Safety. So today, I want to first invite Kenji up. And Kenji's going to speak for about 10, 15 minutes. And then we're going to have a presentation from Akiko. And then we're going to have a conversation between us. And then we'll open it up to questions. So please note your questions. This is like so exciting that we get two big policymakers in the same room. We're really going to dive into just like a couple topics. So if you want to keep an eye out for what to look for, is I'll be asking you all questions after your talk about kind of thinking about how you set policy from an industry perspective. So Akiko is going to really focus on the commercial sector and also the technical sector. And then from Kenji's perspective, what's the role of government and policy? And you'll be having a conversation around that. And we'll be looking at about how policy compares to other countries, other regions, and how I think Japan has a really unique approach. So when you walk out of this talk today, you will really understand why I think Japan is so worth looking at for its policy approach and how it really differs from other regions and how Japan is really playing a much bigger role in the global collaboration around talking about AI regulation. So with that, Kenji, can we start with your presentation?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kenji Hiramoto. I'm a Director General of Digital Infrastructure Center IT Promotion Agency, and also I'm a Deputy Executive Director of AI Safety Institute. And I have many hats. I'm working in digital agency now and Executive Officer for International Data Strategy. So I'm in charge of data strategy and AI strategy. Next one. First, I want to talk about digital infrastructure before AI issues, because this is a good word. Without data, there is no AI. AI uses data. AI learn from the data, and AI publish. AI's outcome is data. So AI is working with data, and without data, there is no transformation. Most of company or organization want to try the digital transformation. They always use data. So data is so important for AI and transformation. And for the data, it is a very important issue is digital infrastructure. We can exchange the we will exchange the data and and after use the AI technologies. So we are focusing on the digital infrastructure. It is the image of AI system, AI system use input data, and AI system make the output data. And number one is data for learning. Learning data is very important for AI. Every country make the provide the data from the government and other sectors, and AI can learn more and more. And AI system use the data. And last session is evaluation. In the evaluation issue, we human evaluate the AI output. Then they use the data. So we need various and qualified data. It is very important issue. And this is the Japanese digital strategy and data strategy. The left side, this is the Japanese digital strategy. It published last year. And AI strategy and data strategy is a set of this strategy. And we published last December, we published the action plan for public and private data supply and sharing in the AI era. And it focused on the qualified data supply and the mechanism for data sharing and data transaction. And the organization issue is also important. Human resource issue is very important in the data issue and AI issues. And this is our vision for 2030, citizen-centric digital society. We should provide many data. The bottom of this slide, base registry is authorized data. Authorized data is very important from the government. Government have authorized good data, good quality data. So base registry and high value data set includes the health data and traffic data and statistics and real-time sensor data. Government and local government have many real-time data. So we provide many data, and platform is also important for transaction. And then AI user can use many data. AI can learn from the data from like this qualified data. So anyone get the harness data easily, and safety is very important. Anyone can use our AI systems and maximize the capability of AI systems from this platform. Digital infrastructure is so important in Japanese AI strategy. And now, we made a digital infrastructure center last July, and last February, we published the AI Safety Institute. And in our activity, we are not only artificial intelligence issue, we are working in the data management issue and the data sharing issue and the data space issue. We want to make data world. And on the data world, we will use the artificial intelligence, and digital transformation is also important issue. And our approach to the data life cycle. First important thing is the rule. This is the life cycle of data designed to average, and rule is important from the through the life cycles. And if we have the we need the transformation transaction rules and intellectual property rules, and we set the rule for data, and platform is next action, and data supply is important action. And these three sections is important for AI, rule, and platform, and data. This is the fundamental for the AI utilization. So we have like this approach, and this is the use case of our data strategy and AI strategy. It is now we are making the framework for public service areas, and this is the use case of education. First, we set the government-wide core data standard, and next, educational data, we set the educational data standard. So we can make good quality data for the education area. And after, in the school and the local government, they made the rule. And after, in the school or local government use the data and harnessing AI, and they analyze the student data or school discrete data, and we can get the feedback from the harnessing AI, and we will revise the data standard. It is a cycle of our data strategy and the AI strategy. And human resources is also important. There is a strong lack of human resource in the data sector and AI sectors. And so we are now making the skill standard and the courseware and the use case and the community is very important. So we want to get the good human resource for innovation and transformation and digital infrastructure. And this is the last slide. Everyone focus on the AI. AI is shiny technology. Everyone check the emerging technologies, but we need AI and digital infrastructure and standard rule goal and data. It is the set of AI infrastructure. We Japanese policy make like this environment for the AI and utilization of data. It is the overview of our Japanese strategy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We all know Japan's power is to be able to make cars. So why not? Why can Japan not make the best data models? And I think your presentation speaks to the dream that we've always had in digital transformation, which is that AI would be available anytime. I mean, data would be available anytime and anywhere.
Yes.
And we're actually getting closer to that. Would you agree in your career?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So from a technical perspective, Akiko, it'd be great to see your presentation now, to see how that complements the policy perspective. I know you'll be talking more about industry and also the technical infrastructure of building this.
Okay. Thank you, Tricia. So thank you for I'm very honored to be here. So my name is Akiko Murakami. I am the executive director of the AC, the Japan AI Safety Institute, and also I had a double hat like the Hiramoto-san. I'm also the executive officer and the chief data officer of the Sompo Japan, the insurance company, P&C insurance company in Japan. So today I would cover the two topics. The first one is the AI situation in Japan, using the Sompo's use case. And the second topic is the Japan government policies and actions from the AC perspective. So first of all, the Hiramoto-san mentioned about Kenji. It's usually using the family name in Japan, but the Kenji, they focusing on the data. So I would like to explain from the Japanese use case, but I think most of the people knowing about the generative AI takes off the recent days. So I think that the OpenAI, the ChatGPT, is one of the trigger for that kind of the momentum. But I think here is the data from 2023, the spring and autumn of the ratio of the company who using or trying to use the generative AI. From the spring, it's almost 10%, but increasing after the 6 months, almost 17% companies try to using the generative AI. So the Sompo Japan, so it's almost the very traditional company in Japan. I asked the CEO in the beginning of the fiscal year, 2023, the April, he asked me what's the ChatGPT? So this is the very first time to asking about the technical question from the CEO. He always asked me the ROI or something like that. But I'm very surprised with that. I did a demo to them. and the what's the happening in the AI world. So, but of course, the Sompo Japan is now trying to use the generative AI in our business process. So we are providing the AI, the ChatGPT's environment to the all employee, and also the utilize the generative AI to finding out the answers from the FAQ search. So we already have the FAQ search for answering the insurance questions for the from the agency and the customers, because of we have tons of the products. So it's very tough to checking up all the terms and conditions. So that's why we prepare the FAQ and providing the FAQ search. But the FAQ search is not perfect because of we cannot provide all of the questions and answer before the questioning. So that's why we utilize the generative AI to finding out the answers from the terms of the conditions. But it's the technical thing, it's called a RAG. So the combination, the search and the generative AI. But we have the input data is the terms of conditions, but I think most of the people see the terms of the condition of the insurance. In Japanese, they're here. So it is a data, but it is not a structured data. So many graphics, so many pictures, and so many tables in there. So the AI needs the structured data, but we have to convert the data to the structured data to input the AI. So we have data inside the company, but we have no structured data in the company for now. So I think this is not AI ready. So we have to convert the company to the AI ready. So with the data as a structured. So that's the current situation in not in Japan, but all over the world. But so to knowing such kind of the things, we needed such kind of the knowledge on the AI. So, but the barriers of implementing generative AI is that need technical resources. So because of the most of the Japanese company feels that they do not want to utilize the generative AI, but they feel the lack of skilled staffs and lack of the know-how and don't know how to proceed to the AI. So that's why they are hesitating to utilize generative AI in their company. So in the later of my presentation, I'm talking about the risks, but they do not care about the risks here for their utilizing the AI technologies. Here, so I would like to continue about the AI situation in the enterprise in Japan. This is a chart for the which ratio of the company to trying to use the generative AI and based on the company size. So more than the 1 trillion end company, the very small number of the company is most of the company utilize or try to utilize the AI in their business process over the 17%. However, the getting smaller the size of the company, the number of the ratio are decreasing, since that they need more the cost for the getting the talent, the AI talent, and they're getting the more cost to converting their data for AI ready. So that's why it's currently the Japanese situation. So I think one of the reasons to the hesitating to adapting the AI is that they do not know about the AI, so they are very feel that not comfortable to the without the technical the things. So that's why we from the Japanese government perspective, we have to support the private company much for the promoting the AI in the enterprise area. Okay, so change the topics. So I would like to explain about the citizen perspective, so that there is so many the aspect to the AI. So here is the difference between the Japan and global with AI key indicators. They care about the AI, the acceptable or feeling benefits, feeling risk, and and so on. And not so much different between the Japan and the global, but the most of the people perceive the benefits of AI, but are concerned about the risks. So I just saw the order of the care about the AI risk is not the main concerning point. However, the feeling the risk as well. Okay, so what kind of the risk AI they feeling about is that the first one is the privacy. So because of the AI is a black box, so they don't know how to utilize data inside the AI. So that's why they feel about the privacy. Our privacy is the safety, and that's kind of that kind of these things is very concerned about it. And the second one is, sorry to, it's smaller, but the second one is accuracy of output. So I think the most of the people cared about the hallucination of the ChatGPT or the generative AI. So I think if the AI technology utilized appropriately, it's not so much the hallucination happen, but sometimes generative AI creates the very stupid answer. So that's the accuracy of the output is the secondary the concern about the AI risk. And also the rest of the event is the harmful use and cybersecurity and so on, and also the decline in the human capability. So that's the feeling of the AI risk. So I think even if the AI risk is there, but the AI is the very business chance for us, especially for the Japanese company, Japanese society, because I think the Japanese characteristics is very suitable for AI. So Japan is a nation of the people who love technologies. So that's why there is so many tech companies, and also that we have the high-tech infrastructure. So we're just talking about the text, but the sensor data getting from the IoT can be utilized in the AI technology. So that's why we can transfer data first and gather the more information from IoT sensor. So, and also that we have also the capability, capability to the many use cases because Japan is an aging society, and also the shortage of the population is ongoing. So that's why adapting to AI is one of the key successful factor in the Japanese society. So that's why Kenji and I, working for the AI safety, and the AI Safety Institute can play the important role for AI safety and the minimizing risks as much as possible and proceed the AI. So that's I would like to cover the Japan government policy and actions here. So we established the AI Safety Institute in this February. And so the AI Safety Institute is under IPA, the IT Promotion Agency, in cooperation with related so many ministries, about 11 ministries. And also in Japan, there are so many national research in laboratories, so we are collaborating with them as well. So we are now focusing on the study on the AI safety issues, since that's so many the institute and so many academia is now only going on the AI safety. So, and also the preparing the AI the AI safety standards, and also the consideration on the evaluation method. And of course, the most important part is international collaboration like this. So because of the AI is no barrier, no nation barrier, so that's why we have to collaborate in the international way. So that's AI Safety Institute here. So this is a very traditional Japanese organization, the chart. So we have so many ministries relating to the AI, the digital agency, METI, and so on, and so many the research institute under this, and also the academia is play important role of that. So we are under IPS, so that's why that's because of the under METI, but AC is it's kind of the information hub between these all the ministries and research institute, and have to collaborate not only for the government inside the government, but also for the private company. So that's why I have the experience on the private company and government, of course, and also I had experience both of the users and also the development and the research. So that's why I can connect all of the stakeholders in this area. Okay, so the almost last part of my presentation. So I would like to mention AI strategy in Japan government. So we have the 3 pillars of the AI strategy. The one is the response to risks and optimal the use of AI, and the third one is strengthening the AI R&D. So AC is play an important role of the response to risk and collaborate with the other pillars to enhancing the AI usage in and promoting the AI Japan's economy. So this is the last the chart. So the AI safety safety is very paramount for the widespread adoption of AI. So that's why the like the brake because of the reliable brakes are essential for the stepping on the accelerator. So that's why the considering risk is one of the not a brake, but it's kind of the guardrail or the to proceeding the AI technology more speedy. So establishing AI Safety Institute as a both safety net and the guardrail, so ensuring the smoother and secure journey into the AI, future AI. So that's the, I think we can discuss more deeply after this presentation.
You don't just wear double hats, you wear triple hats. You wear more than 2 hats. I just want to get a quick sense from the audience so we know who's here. How many people here are Stanford students? Like, get a sense. And who here actually studies Japan or like is actually researching Japan? And anyone who actually studies policies, just overall policies in Japan, anything related policy? Okay, I see Kenji, your hands up. Good. And then who actually is a technologist who builds LLMs? Anyone here? All right, raise your hand high. These 3 people, they lack skills. We need talent, right? Talent. So, okay, so we have a mix of people in the room. I'm sure there's more, but this is just helpful so we know who's in this space. Thank you so much for this presentation. There's clearly a lot of interest in policy. There's some people who study Japan, but I'm just going to assume that we all, not everyone knows everything about Japan and everything about policy and AI. So we'll just, make sure we speak more slowly for a general audience, since not everyone raised their hand when we talked about policy in Japan. Well, today's a really exciting day because I opened up my iPad this morning and I was like, what's happening in AI news in Japan today? And I just want to read some headlines that I found just from today's headlines. The first one is from Japan Times. It says, AI creates Japan ruling party's new poster slogan. So I'm going to hold this picture up. Do you know, what does the slogan say? This is AI generated from the Democratic Liberal Party. What does it say? It is AI created. No, generated slogan, right? This is a slogan.
I think it is not related to AI. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the headline. So this is what the media is saying: is that AI created this new poster slogan, And Reuters, it says OpenAI bids for a Japan business office as it opens up in Tokyo. So we have OpenAI going there. And then the next headline is from the Nikkei Asia. Microsoft invests 2.9 billion in Japan data centers amid AI boom. And this is the single largest investment from Microsoft ever in Japan. And then in GeekWire, it said University of Washington joins a $110 billion collaboration with Japanese academic partnership for AI that includes support from NVIDIA and Amazon. So this was just from this morning. And there's also so much that Kyo had mentioned last week with the PM's visit here, you know, with the White House. So there's clearly a lot happening in Japan in AI. And I'm curious from your perspective, why all of a sudden so much activity around AI in Japan from your perspectives, maybe from a government and also from a technical and commercial perspective?
Yes, first.
Yes.
I think the AI is growing rapidly. So everyone feel AI's benefit and risks. And before the AI is a special issue for the technical persons. But now everyone use ChatGPT and someone make images. And many people feel the troubles and some mistakes in the AI field. So students understand how to, they should learn how to use it, and they need some guidelines for safety. Before the generative AI, the students recognize technology's benefit so slowly, but now they feel soon, and every day they read the newspapers and they catch the new some articles. So they think we should set some policies and guidelines, and government should make some rules and guidelines. I think this generative AI is, I think the speed is the miracle speed. So we should work hard, and every media want to know how to use the AI and how to use safety. So everyone say the top in the media and in the TV and in the newspapers, everyone focus on the AI, and the student feel
So
it is
there's
important.
a lot of coverage,
Yes.
even in Japan. For
Yes.
Japanese
Yeah.
citizens,
Yes.
they see
Now
this
situation is so.
not just us from an international perspective.
So actually, before the ChatGPT, the very small people have interested in AI or the technology, but after the ChatGPT, everyone can utilize the AI for their work. So that's why they are very interested in
Like your boss.
like a boss. Yes.
So how did you actually demonstrate ChatGPT to your boss? I'm curious when they asked you.
So I do not doing the demo only for the CEO, but they in front of all the board members, and all the board members very impressed. So because of the most of the board members feel about the AI is the kind of the issues apart from their business, but they feel about that we should utilize this technology because of the not using this technology is a kind of the risk for the company.
So you were able to get them to see that this is a risk. This is not just a new tool, but this is actually
Exactly
like risk if we don't use it and adopt it.
Yeah.
How did you get them there?
Actually, in Japan, after the COVID situation, we feel that the lack of the resources. So because of especially for the city area, we cannot hire the people because of the lack of the resources. So that's why we need more turn our business process more efficiently. So that's why the AI can support us to turning the business process a more the good way. So
Great. Did you?
And I want to say, first step, AI is very not expensive for executives. So most of Japanese executives try the AI, Chat GPT and other, so they understand it. So most of the company executives say we should use the AI to their colleagues.
Right. Once they know how to use
it. So the company member should try the AI technology. So everyone understands the AI issue. Yeah.
I would agree that once consumer-facing AI tools came out, that was the big change.
Yeah.
Before we still had AI, but it was you had to ask a specialist, like a researcher from IBM who had deep knowledge for 15 years, and you had to set up a whole demonstration, but anyone could actually interact with the tools directly, and that really was the big change, I think, globally, not just in Japan. Well, here's actually another article that came out also in the Wall Street Journal last night, which is what I didn't mention is, you both talked a lot about public opinions and how that's so important because now the public is aware, right? And so executives are also part of the public and industry is aware. So there's a Wall Street article published with the headlines that says social order could collapse in the AI era, says the top 2 Japanese companies. And it's actually the most, it's the largest telecom company, NTT, and then the leading newspaper with 6 million readers, Yomiuri, am I saying it right? Yomiuri. And they both come together to issue a manifesto to call for new laws to restrict AI. And they actually are saying that if AI is left unchecked, democracy and social order could collapse. And it sounded, said they're going to result in wars. And I was like, oh, interesting. It sounds a lot like this recent report that was just released by the State Department. And the US State Department sponsored a study. It's called the Gladstone Report, or done by a company called Gladstone. And they also came to the same conclusion that said there will be global destabilization and wars if AI is left unchecked. And so I'm curious from both of your perspectives, how do you help us make sense of, you're talking about Japanese people are receptive to AI, they're open to it, there's more news coverage of it. Then all of a sudden, this Wall Street Journal article saying that these 2 Japanese, big institutions have come together. Can you help us understand from both of your perspectives, how do we understand this?
Yes, so I read this article from the NTT and Yomiuri, and it is one of the opinion. I think AI have many possibilities. So AI can, good person can use AI beneficially, and some bad person use bad usage. So I think now we don't have some guideline and framework for the AI. So everyone think every another opinions, and so this is one opinion. So public opinion is so important in the social media and medias. Legacy media, newspapers, and broadcasts. In Japan, especially, I think this is private opinion. Japanese media always say negative things. So I don't know.
Kind of public now.
I think not only for the Japanese media.
Yes. So it is one opinion. So we should hear many opinions because some of people say good opinions. So we should gather the opinion and we should evaluate the opinion and we make good policies. Yeah.
So I think I just talking about the media is always the thing, the negative things, but I had a very interesting experience when I was in IBM. So I was the software architect of the AI named Watson, and Watson supports the life insurance company to the payment process of the insurance. But the company is they're facing the critical challenge. They're reducing the population, so that's why they cannot hire the appropriate person to the claim process. So that's why they decided to adapting the AI for the payment process, but the media in US say that the AI replaces the humans. So that's the very the concern about the AI risk. So it's almost 10 years ago. So I think the AI is a very supporter of us to the enhancing the business process and so on. But sometimes media is mentioned about the only for the risk, not the benefit. So that's but we have to explain what kind of the risk we have and what kind of the things we have to care about, and also the showing the benefit of the AI the simultaneously. So that's why the people can understand the AI more clearly. So the transparency of the AI and AI benefits and risks are the most important part.
Do you think that the Japanese government could be more transparent? Like, is that why AC is?
Yes. Transparency is very important in Japanese government.
Yeah, and so
and all government.
do you think the creators of this manifesto know about AC?
Yeah.
Should we tell them your institute exists?
Yes.
So even if the specialist, the technical, the persons cannot understand fully of the AI system, so that's why we have to checking the risks and checking the current status of the AI technology and providing the information to the people, to the most important parts.
Which is why your institute was created recently. So you'll be doing more transparent work.
Yes.
And creating that information for the public. Well, in terms of policy approaches in China, and not China, in Japan, I do a lot of work on China too. So we're not talking about China today. We could, but we're going to focus on Japan. Is one of the approaches I think is interesting is that a lot of the way that you talk about policy is based on the Japanese government's social principles of human-centric AI, which is 3 basic principles that were set in 2019, much before generative AI became a big deal.
Yeah.
And the government said, we think AI should support human dignity, diversity and inclusion, and sustainability. And I read this really interesting analysis from Hiroki Habuka, who's a senior associate at the Wadhwani Center for AI and Advanced Technologies. And he said, Japan's approach is different from other countries in that they say AI will help support the realization of these 3 principles. AI will help human dignity, help us achieve dignity. Whereas other countries, they say that AI will restrict human dignity. That's the starting point, right? They think AI will suppress human dignity. And the starting point for Japan is it will, that AI is here to help us achieve these 3 principles. So that in your perspective, would you agree that this is your approach, that AI is not, we don't assume that AI is a competitor? Because in one of your slides, the loss of job was the last thing to fear. So could you talk a bit about this relationship, the unique relationship that Japan has to AI and maybe technology more broadly?
Can I start? Yeah. So as I explain about my experience when I was in IBM, I think the mentality for AI or the technology is slightly different from US or global and Japan. So because of in Japan, I don't know you all know about the name of the anime, the Astro Boy and Doraemon.
Yay!
So,
any Astro Boy fans?
So these are the robots operated by AI, but they are the very support the human very much. So that's why the Japanese people think about the AI is not a competitor, but the AI is a supporter for us. So that's the very important the mentality of the Japanese society. So that's I think the principle of the human-centric AI is a very straightforward for us. That's
because an Astro Boy was created in post-war Japan. That was like 50, 60 years ago, right? So we've had many generations being educated that technology is not scary. Astro Boy had a robotic family.
Yeah.
Like robots were caring.
Yes.
Not like only Godzilla, right? So I think that's a really important point that you mentioned culturally.
Yeah, I think this is the culture, the Japanese society. So that's why we do not fear about the AI itself, but the Japanese is has another aspect to. They do not want to use if this is not clear for instance, the AI is very beneficial for their business processes, but if the risks are not clear, they do not want to use it because of any risks they have. So that's what the transparency is the most important in the Japanese.
I think your point is so important that the difference is that in Japan, you're saying people don't fear AI itself.
Yeah.
They fear the lack of transparency.
Yes.
And that's why the lack of policy was higher up, right, in your chart. And the loss of a job was at the very bottom for fears of AI. I think that's such an important clarity, the difference between so nuanced, that perspective. And you've had generations of culture of being, educated by that culture.
Yes, actually, I supported the various types of the company when I was in IBM. The Japanese company is totally different from the other countries' company because of the most of the country in the world they want to be number one and the first use case, creating the first use case. But in Japanese company, do not want to create the first use case. So this one is a very great technology, but anyone who use this technology and you have the use case, always ask me. So that's the slightly the different cultural things. So after it is safety, they want to utilize that technology more speedy, but they don't want to do the first thing. So
yeah, I think that's really important because instead of one interpretation, people could say, oh, Japan is a little behind on AI. But another interpretation could be that you're saying Japanese leaders are just very wise. Wait and watch a little. And now you clearly see there's a lot happening in AI, like 6 months later after the US had all the press, right?
So that's why the Japanese company now understanding the benefit of AI and the risk that there is some risks, but we can conceive it. So that's why they more speed up to utilize AI in the Japanese company. It's just a mic.
Yeah, I think that's really nuanced. What do you think, Kenji?
Yes, I think AI is support. Akiko said Astro Boys, and in the Akiko's presentation, we are mentioned about aging society. So AI can support the aging persons before the generative AI. We always say about the digital divide, but now aging person can use AI. They can operate the many devices by the voice, and they can get many services from the AI services. So it is very big chance, and the AI support us, and the old elder people sometimes not they cannot see well, and some they have some barriers. But AI will support their abilities. So it is very important issue. And we Japanese company can develop the supporting devices and supporting the technologies by using AI. It is very big possibility. So I think we think AI is partner. Like Astro Boy and some Asian brothers.
We can see that. And we're lucky to have you two leading that, continuing that cultural narrative.
Yes.
And then, on that, let's talk about AC then. Specifically, how do you balance the needs as regulators, as you're going to be creating governance, right? The country's expecting you to create frameworks for guidance. How do you think about regulation on AI versus regulation for AI? So regulation on AI is regulation that manages risks, associated with AI, like you talked about, right? Like companies, leaders need to know what the risks are. So does the public. Then regulation for AI is regulation that promotes AI development. So at AC, how do you do both? Do you only do one, or how do you think about it? How do you do it? How are you going to execute this?
Okay, so so we have to balancing the both way. So because of the Japanese, as I mentioned before, the Japanese the company and society needs some kind of the regulation because of the and they cannot understanding whole risks, but they want to follow up the others, and so that's they need regulation. But on the other hand, they would like to improving their own technology or their own business use the AI. So so that's why they do not want to regulate too much. So I think this is a very good balancing between this the strict, the regulated, and the freely the right. So we can the issue would like to find out the appropriate way to the balancing between two.
So you are accountable at AC for regulation on AI and for AI. You're doing both, not just one.
Yes.
And I think there are the things is that the changing the technology and improving the technology rapidly. So it is very difficult to catching up the AI cutting edge technology and also the regulation in the world. So that's why the AC can provide such kind of the information. What's the latest for the AI safety technologies, and also the regulation is in each country. So it is very helpful for the Japanese society to understanding what's going on in the global.
Kenji, could you talk about that a bit? Because we talked about earlier about AC is a soft law or hard law? What kind of approach will you be guiding us into?
Yes, I think we prefer the soft law approach because technology is changing very fast. So quarterly, we find not quarterly, daily. We find the new approach and new technology in the AI areas. So we should change some guidance and some laws. So hard law is we take if we have a hard law approach. Hard law takes a long time for setting up the law. So soft law is we can change it quickly. So it is very important issue. So important approach for AI issues.
I think that's really different. Also, something unique about Japan's approach, because other countries are taking a hard law approach, which is really setting binding regulations. It's telling people, companies that you're using legal force to really require people that you may not be able to develop AI or run LLMs before you do X, Y, Z. You have to register. But what you're saying is AC will take a soft law approach, which is more setting norms and guidances and changing culture, changing behavior.
Yes.
Right?
Because we should focus on not focus on the safety. We should focus on the innovative approach, innovation in the AI areas. So we should change it. And AI have many possibilities in this field. So I think we will find some problems and some new technology every day. So we should change it quickly.
How does your approach differ from other countries, you think?
I think other countries also have a similar approach, but other countries, for example, EU had already set the AI Act, and they are, I think they have a combination approach, hard law and soft law.
Right.
But now we Japanese government more focus on the soft law approach.
Got it. I think that's a really good example to draw the difference between EU's approach and Japan's approach. Well, I think, I want to ask you, I do want to ask the audience, give them a chance to ask questions, but I have two more questions for you all. So get ready for some questions. My first question is really around skills in the ecosystem. You both talked a lot about that, and there's a lot of investments coming in, like Microsoft's 2.9 billion. We have 110, million coming from NVIDIA and Amazon and their universities. So I'm curious, how will like in the Microsoft investment, they're saying they're going to start a lab in Tokyo. They're going to focus on training people to work in AI. They're going to focus on training women, which I thought was very interesting. Very focused on gender. But from your perspective, what will AC be doing to really create an ecosystem where we can get more skills? Not internally within Japan, or maybe externally also. Like, what's the plan? How do you get more people in, get more talent?
So
Please.
So actually, for the Microsoft, the challenge is that I'm very surprised with the news because of I know because I was in IBM, so I know the Microsoft people very much, and most of the Microsoft Japan try to setting up the laboratory in Japan, but they cannot. But after the generative AI technology, they can do that. So I think I don't know, but I think the one of the reason is that it's kind of the language barrier. So because of most of the Japanese people, they do not have the capability to speaking English in the daily life. So that's why with the generative AI, they helps us to the language barrier. So that's one of the reason, I think. But I think I don't know the exactly answer, but it is very good momentum for Japan to such kind of the investment to Japan. So the AC is not a straightly the educated the people directly, but we can support the educational people. So for instance, for the collaborating with academia, so we can offer to the guideline or the information about the current AI, the cutting edge technology or the regulation so the academia or the other kind of the educational staff can using such kind of the information to educate the people, and also that we can offer some kind of the certificate of the AI safety. So we do not certify the people or organization directly, but we can some kind of the providing a certified is a certifier in the private sector. So that's the another way to providing the education in the AI area.
Where do you all think the people? Is there a question on where the people will come from? Because there's a lack of people also, right? Declining population.
That's the point, because of the AI talented in Japan is not so huge numbers. So we can share the talent in the area. So
yes, and in Japan, the lack of AI human resources is a very big problem. But in Japan, there are so many high-tech engineers. And in the companies, for example, in the factory, 10 years ago, there are so many engineers in the factories, but now there are so many robotics, and we can transfer from mechanical engineer to AI engineer, and we have many engineers. So Japanese talent market is have a big possibility for the high technology and emerging technologies. So we should provide some skill standard and some certification program. So AC is in the IPA, Information Technology Promotion Agency. We IPA have a digital human resource center. We provide the skill standard and certification for technical engineers. So we are working together, and AI Safety Institute makes some policies, and AI digital human resource center provide skill set and courseware and some use cases. It is a very good combination.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like a good plan. And also, I think with AI, we need more just human domain experts, right? You
Yeah.
don't have to have,
Yeah.
we don't need all technical experts. There's actually an opportunity for a bigger opportunity for non-technical people
Yeah.
who have domain expertise to train the AI, to correct it, to check it, right?
Yes.
So there's actually a big opportunity for
Yes.
non-technical people.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes,
Yes.
I think the domain knowledge is the most important part of the AI. So, for instance, I'm in an insurance company. Not only with the AI engineer cannot provide such kind of the FAQ search with the generative AI, since that's what kind of the answers are appropriate in this system. So that's why the domain knowledge is most important part of the AI. So.
So it's the non-engineers.
Yes, the collaborate with the non-engineer and the collaborate with AI itself is the increasing the skill set of the AI system. So no need I was the engineer and I was the researcher, so it's a very tough time for them. I think so.
Yeah, the people whose job are at risk are more technical people, actually. It's the non-technical people.
Yes. Now in Japan, non-technical people enjoy how to use the AI chatbot and how to make the movies. It's a very big change.
Right. The boundary between, who is considered expert is really shifting now.
Yes.
Well, I have a last question before I turn it over to the audience, which is like, in your dream world, let's say there's like a time machine, right? And like in, 10, 15 years, like if you could just imagine you have all the perfect AI policies, like, implemented, and culturally there's a shift, like what policy would you say, like what set of policies do you think are most important to implement, and what would that change look like? Like how would Japanese society look different, if AC really does everything that it says it's going to do? After you.
Yes. After.
Yeah.
Yes. I think my dream. Personal opinion. I think regulatory sandbox is very important because last Saturday I go to the San Francisco city and I saw Waymo automotive.
The driverless cars,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've seen them.
Yes. No one drives. Yes, it is a very good challenge in the San Francisco cities. And in Japan, there are so many AI technologies, high-tech goods and products, but some of products can't use it in the society because there are so many regulations, old type regulation in Japan. So we should challenge the new technologies. Sandbox is regulatory sandbox is very important. We can check the product. We can check the product and get the feedback, and we should make good product, improve the product. It is very important things. So, for example, do you know Roomba?
Yes.
Roomba is a cleaning machine. Yeah. Most of Japanese companies say we can make Roomba before the we could make Roomba before the Roomba 10 years ago, but they always think about the risks and they can't use Roomba. They can make it, but they can't use it. It is I think it is a problem. So,
is it because of regulations? It
is not a regulation issue, but in Japan now we can make automotive car, but we don't use it, so we can't make good improvement. So we should make the regulation systems, and we should challenge new technologies.
Right. And why can't you're saying we could have made all these things, but you didn't implement it and launch it in the market, and not because of regulation, but because of public perception, or why?
Most of the cases regulation.
Okay.
Yes.
So sometimes it's regulation.
Yes. For example, drone or some cars.
So in your dream world, regulation would not hinder innovation.
Change so fast.
Yeah.
It's like software. Yeah.
More soft law.
Yeah.
It's a good dream.
Okay, so about 10 years ago, I cannot imagine such kind of the era in here. So they utilize the generative AI. And so I became the researcher on the AI area because of I love Doraemon, and I would like to create a Doraemon in the future. But almost we achieved such kind of the world. So the AI support us very much. And in the future, in 10 years later, I think the Kenji mentioned about the Japanese mentality to not adapting the technology because of they have lots of not to do the things. So I think the changing the mentality is one of the challenge for us to creating the innovation with us. So I think my dream is that supporting the Japanese society to provide the appropriate information and appropriate setting up the guidelines and the regulations. They can easily to jump in the innovative way. So that's the challenge for us. With the new generation, I think our new generation is changing from the mind because of we succeeded in the 1918s. So most of the Japanese people who working with that, the Kenji and I know the 1980s, but the new generation do not know the 80s. So that's why they can. They challenge the new things, so without the succeed experience. So that's our challenge to changing the mentality with the appropriate information.
I think that's a complementary dream. You want more soft law, and you want faster innovation.
Yeah,
with clear regulation, more innovation
can
happen. Well, with that, let's take some questions from the audience. Who has questions? I'm going to take Kenji's hand first. So that's.
Hi, my name is also Kenji. Kenji Kushida.
Yes.
Thank you for your wonderful presentations and discussion. I have a question. Since you have an international audience, I'm curious to what degree you feel like you're addressing the same issues as all other countries with their AI safety and digital infrastructure, or there are additional issues you're addressing because it's Japan. And then, of course, you're looking for solutions that work for Japan. But to what degree do you feel that it's your mandate to come up with solutions that are also a model for elsewhere? And if so, how does your organizational structure maybe help in that?
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, you want to ask all the questions first? Okay. We have another question.
Hi, thank you so much for giving such an enlightening talk. And I'm Jasmine, and I'm an IP lawyer. I've been following how Japan has been dealing with the intersection between AI and IP. And I noticed that you have implemented very robust articles of law to support the ingestion and analysis of copyrighted materials for AI training purposes. And I'm curious whether you have seen a rise in the litigation in the court, and if so, how are you trying to balance the interest between public interest of training AI models for both public interest and commercial interest, and the interest of the copyright holders? And also, a separate question is, I'm curious about, you mentioned that there's a lack of human resource of AI talents in Japan, and how are you implementing policy to attract or train more talents in this field? Thank you.
Okay, we have one more question. All right. Yes. Okay.
Yosumi, Consul of Japan here in San Francisco. One comment and one question. A very quick comment is that Tricia talked about the Wall Street Journal report and State Department report. I think because I just want to address the point of the deep military-civil divide in Japan. And the the business people don't know much about military, and they don't have interaction with the military, but they are bad guys. On the internet, it was a dream 20 years ago. Now the election is being forged by the internet, by the very technology. So I think there are bad guys, state actor, non-state actor, and we should be careful about it. But still, that we have to go for AI. And then my question is about title digital transformation and generative AI. I was working as the DX officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I started DX in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was very painful. And that everybody knows that Japan is backsliding, or Japan is not as advanced as it should be in DX, and why in the presentation of Murakami-san, it feels like we should be a little bit more optimistic about Japan in the generative AI, and I just want to know why.
All right, so we have several questions that you can choose to answer.
Yeah.
Is there any question that stands out to you that you want to take?
So can I start the DX questions? Because of the actually, I was the director of the DX promotion department from this March until this March, and then moved to the chief data officer from this April. So I very struggle with the digital transformation in the Japanese company. So I do not optimistic to the digital transformation apart from the AI technology, because of I struggle with in my company is that most of the people think about the digital transformation is not concerned by my business. So because of only the CDO in charge of the digital transformation, but I cannot transformation in the business process itself. So it is very tough to changing the business process without the agreement from the business people. But without the business transformation, we cannot transform it with digital. So that's why I'm talking about this with our CEO, and he decided that changing that transformation is in charge of the business people, not the digital transformation itself by CDO, but the transform by themselves, and digital the division supports them to transform. So that's the utilize the AI is. So I think we can moving forward with the AI technology. So because of after the ChatGPT, they can easily understand what the AIs are. So that's the good starting point to they can think themselves how to transform their business process with AI. So that's the answer.
So they come to you about AI because they've used it, and then that's when you say, okay, yeah, we need the good data.
Yes.
So now we have to actually digitally transform the business.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yes.
So you have hope.
Yes, I have.
Yes. I answer about copyright issue. Copyright issue is very important issue, but in Japan, we are now under discussion. Last month, Agency for Culture published a guideline for the copyright in the AI era, but they gather the public opinions, public consultations. So many opinions come from the students and businesses. It is a very important problem, but a difficult problem. So I think Agency for Culture published a tentative report or interim report last month. It is very important, but we are under discussion. And you mentioned human resource issues, how to attract the AI human resource. It is very important. We always think the incentive and motivation for AI persons, but in the Japanese society, AI in the AI market, the human resource is very expensive and day by day, and including the payroll. So frankly speaking, in AI Safety Institute, we want to gather the AI people, but the AI people AI talent is so expensive. So we are. It is very difficult work. So another incentive is this is the future work. So can with global partners and we can work with global top level engineers. It is incentive, but in the user company, for example, Sompo Japan will, I think. You have another approach. In Japanese government, we can't pay more, but we can provide more incentive and motivation. And in the private sector, how?
So actually, as you mentioned about that, the AI is the knowledgeable on the domain, specific domain is the most important part of the AI the proceeding. So our company do not hire not so much people who are has a cutting edge technology in the AI, but they understanding what the AI is and how to utilize the domain knowledge into the AI. So that's I think that it's kind of the interpreter between the engineers and the business people. We think that's kind of the business translator. So we need the knowledge of the AI, but they do not creating the AI by themselves. So that's I think the talent is focusing on AI is a very small number of the people in Japan, but such kind of the translator people is not so. I think we can find out some. So that's the approach, and also the private company like Sompo Japan, it's not a technology company, so we can getting the support by the IT company to the supporting such kind of the IT. So that's I think it's kind of the same idea to sharing the IT people. So from the IT company owns the specific the IT specialist and supports the non-IT company, and the non-IT companies holds the knowing the AI, how to utilize the AI in their business process and business domain. So.
Well, I think that's great that you're saying there's a need for more translators, so not technical people. And Kenji, I'm really glad you brought up the cultural agencies interim report. I haven't read it. I'm curious what the report says about copyright, but right now Japan is known as a machine learning paradise because there's no restriction content. You can use any content in your learning models for commercial or non-commercial purposes. And I'm really curious because I think it was like 50,000+ public comments from people on this, because outside of Japan, there's more restrictions on what you can use. But in Japan, it's like illegal or not legal, doesn't even matter. Just whatever you can get, you can use. At least that's what people understand right now, right? And that could change.
Yes.
So we'll see.
I don't know the detail of the interim report, but everyone say Japan is paradise, but not so. But I think in Japan there are so many good contents for the AI. So I think we should provide some good environment for the developer and researchers about AI, and so we will change the report is not fixed. I think we will change we always check the situation and the public opinions, and we will check the rule and guidelines every time. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see what the report says. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And we have time for more questions. One more round. Okay.
I forgot your question.
What your questions were? You had 2 of them.
Sorry. To what degree are the problems that you're solving the same problems that everywhere is facing? And for your solutions, of course, your solutions need to work for Japan, but to what degree do you feel that your mandate is to also make solutions that work for elsewhere as well?
Yes, so AI issue is a global issue, and everyone have. Recently we are talking with U.S. persons and UK persons and EU persons and other countries persons. Everyone think same problem, and everyone want to make similar guidelines. So we want to work together with international agencies, and also big tech and other Japanese big company visit us, and they always say we are checking all of guidelines, the US guideline and the UK guideline and the Singapore guidelines and Japanese guideline. It's very confusing. So they want to government. They always should say government should work together, and we should coordinate the rule and guidelines. It is very important for making solution. Okay.
Yes, today we are focusing on the Japan society, but AC has a very important role not only for the inside Japan, but the outside, because of the Japanese company try to expand their business into the world. So not only for the Japanese, the market share. So that's why we can support them as well. So
yeah.
Right. So AC's mandate is also actually international collaboration.
Yeah. Yes.
Partially because Japanese companies need to operate outside of Japan.
Yeah.
We want simple guide.
Yeah. And also and also we can support the global companies to the expanding business in Japan as well.
Great. Well, I think you have your answer, Kenji. We have time for another round of questions.
Hi, my name is Iris, and I'm a Stanford student working at the intersection of AI and healthcare. My question for you is, what are the major opportunities and challenges in regards to the application of AI in healthcare in Japan? And what are the potential gaps that you're looking to fill? Thank you.
My name is Rob Nielsen. I'm a local resident who works as an editor and a translator for Japanese writers. You both mentioned infrastructure during your speech. I wonder if you, at policy level, whether you've given any thoughts to the electric power infrastructure in Japan. AI takes a lot of power, and semiconductor production up, and there's more manufacturing coming back to Japan, and whether that might be a challenge in the future.
Kenji-san talking about education as a sample. So we know that AI is going to change the way of learning from the grassroots. And I would love to learn about like the Japan policy and the way you implement about AI in education right now in primary, secondary, or graduate level. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a question on health, electric power, and education. Three topics.
So I can cover the first question. So actually the healthcare area is the one of the challenge for the AI technical people, because of the each country has a regulation on the healthcare. So that's why we have to build up the AI technology for each country. So but I think the core technology is the same things. So and especially for the healthcare. So in Japan, from the Japan perspective, we are in the aging society. So that's why the healthcare is one of the key important role in Japan. And so I think the very various way to contribute the AI to the healthcare area. The one of the medical, finding out the new medical things, and also the supporting the healthy life, and also more directly to supporting the medical things and healthcare things. So I think it's because of the barrier of the country regulation that I think such kind of the difference between the country, we understand the regulation difference. It must be the enhancing the healthcare AI utilization in healthcare.
じゃあ、then, I'm about I'm answer about the healthcare issues. And healthcare issue is very important area for Japanese government, but healthcare data is very sensitive data. So every country have many restricted, strict rules. So Japanese government made some new law, some law about the healthcare data. I think 5 or 6 years ago, we made some law about healthcare data, and some of company want to use the healthcare data. They can apply the, they can request the data. But after the COVID situation, we should the rule is little big law and complicated procedure. So I think my private opinion, I think we should provide data more easily. But now Japanese company, Japanese government have strict healthcare data rules. And Akiko mentions aging society is very important. There are so many aging persons homes and group homes, and they now they are gathering many data, not healthcare data, but life data, life logs. So it is very important for healthcare issues. So I think the healthcare technology is very important. So we should challenge to the healthcare area. But now we are checking little by little, step by step. Yeah.
To possibly make it easier.
Yeah.
To access the healthcare data.
Yeah.
Cool. And any thoughts on the power education questions?
Education, education issue in Japan. Ministry of Education is very positive to the AI issue. So last year, they published the guideline for the AI issues in the primary school and secondary school. So teachers can use AI technology easily. And first, the teacher is feel some risks. They what in the school there are privacy issues and some intellectual property issues, copyright issues. So teachers first, Japanese teacher hesitate to use the AI technology, but now Ministry of Education published the guideline for the teachers. So it is a very good situation. And also Japanese Ministry of Education set up the educational standard of data. So all schools should use the standard data. So the AI can analyze the data very easily. It started 2 years ago. So I think next year and the next year, it is more useful situation.
That's a good reflection of how the values of openness to AI, actually the Ministry of Education already published guidance. So that way teachers feel safe.
Yes. So step by step, standard and data and using AI.
We don't have that in the US. I know many universities and high school teachers, they ban use of AI. I have had students in my interviews show me syllabuses where the teacher says, you cannot use AI, and they're really scared of it.
In the high in the university area, it is a different situation. Some of the students use AI and say write the report by using AI. It is a big problem, and they are thinking about it. It is under discussion.
Yeah, so there'll be guidelines soon.
And adding the one thing, in Japanese society, the I don't how to say in English, but we have the Rikei and Bunkei. So Rikei is the science and technology major, and Bunkei is the other the economics and the other types of the study. And they based on it's apart from the mid of the high school, and the most of the people do not they major the science and technology do not hesitate to the thinking about such kind of things. But after the AI era, the huge gap between the Rikei and Bunkei will be merged, and I hope that the most of the people do not care about I'm not a science person or I'm not a technology person, but I hope that it merged in the future. So
That you think your hope is that it won't be so opposite and extreme Nikkei and Bunkei, that it will be more merged.
more
So
merged, yes.
even science people are
Yes.
embracing.
Yeah, because of the young generation are the digital natives, so they do not feel about the AI or technology is not the very specific one, but it's normal one, I think. So that's why I would like to merge into the two types of people.
And that's your future talent.
Yes.
And anyone wanted to comment on the electric power question before we end?
Actually, from the private company's perspective, it takes a cost since that we utilize the AI. So because of the private sector, they have a limit to the IT cost, but the most of the cost is paying the power for the utilizing the AI. So it's not that the ESG perspective, but it's one of the challenge for us. And I think the Japanese society, Japanese government is also the concerned about the power, utilize the AI.
Yes. I think it is mainly depend on the hardware issues. So we are another team thinking about the machine power and electronic consumption, but I'm not a specialist about this issue. Some of the person thinking about electric power consumption, so we should think about it, but under discussion.
Well, thank you so much for this amazing discussion. I think we've learned so much about how, I think clearly we can see here as the audience how the values of Japan not seeing AI only as a competitor or something to be feared, that influences the policies and practices that you put in place. And then also we all have a better understanding of what AC does, which is that you're taking a soft law approach and your mandate is also international applications. And lastly, there's really a lot of hope around recruiting future talent around skills, which is that it's not only technical people we need, but there could be this merger of, like I said, which is like the Nikkei and Bunkei, and that we will have a greater need for domain experts, right? So thank you so much.